Is the season over? Well, Mikel Arteta doesn't seem to think so. एक अभी प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में एक उसको क्वेश्चन पूछा गया कि डू यू थिंक आर यू गोना गिव अप ऑन द प्रीमियर लीग टाइटल रेस एंड मिकेल सेड ओवर माय डेड बॉडी. Now, when I hear such words and I look at his expressions during that press conference, it's a clear sign of desperation. And I'll tell you, problem Arteta का अभी issue है कि he has been here for so long and he has been, acting as if he knows everything, even though progress हुआ है. There clearly is a jump that he's unable to make, that is finishing and crossing over the line. When he was new, when he came, he was improvising. He didn't know, he wasn't new to his job. He had a team that was pretty fairly working together under Emery, but अंदर rifts थे, अंदर clicks थे. और जब आर्टेटा आया तो obviously new manager bounce था, and obviously we did go through that COVID break where even the other teams जो आर्सेनल के सामने compete कर रही थी उस time पे, even they took थोड़ा mental hit, like Manchester City, who lost that title race against Liverpool, the formidable Liverpool, जिन्होंने टाइटल ऑलरेडी फेब में जीत लिया था लास्ट इन 2019-2020 सीजन. सो किसी को मोटिवेशन इतना कुछ खास था नहीं, एंड मिकेल आर्टेटा बीइंग न्यू, ही वाज ट्राइंग न्यू थिंग्स. आई एम नॉट अंडरमाइनिंग आर्टेटा's FA Cup victory and the team's victory, but he had players like Aubameyang who were a clear match winner. You had experienced players like David Luiz who were at the back. And obviously you had a resurgent and a very confident Martinez who was on the bench or in the reserve team of Arsenal under Wenger and under Emery. So let's look at this season as a whole. क्या हुआ है and why I have no hope unlike Arteta, and I've already given up. I was the person जो दिसंबर से बोल रहा था कि हम फेब में लिवरपूल को पकड़ लेंगे, and I kept saying that we'll catch up to Pool. But the problem is that Arsenal pool dropping points was never the problem. The problem was, will Arsenal capitalize on those? But if we start from the season, you'll see why Arsenal are not the same team that they were since January of last season. So we can start the season with the Wolves game. So if everyone watched that game, Wolves had clear-cut chances in that game. And when we scored that first goal in the first half, Wolves had a very good chance with the header. Raya made a world-class save to keep us, 1-0 at halftime. And then we obviously scored the second goal and killed the game off. And Wolves, they had a very tough start to the season, but that was their first game. And Wolves are not a very good team going forward at that point. So definitely that chance that they created, if they would have scored that, they would have gone to a low block, and then I don't think Arsenal would have won that game. Then the second game against Aston Villa, if you see that game, Ollie Watkins, when the score was 0-0, he had an open goal chance and he missed it. Same with there was one more chance where they could have scored, but again Raya made a wonderful save. So there we have been lucky. The defense has been shaky at the start of the season, and I was calling it out when we did this. Like if you go back to our when the channel did start, I kept on saying that Arsenal's defense is not that good, but Arsenal fans did not want to see it, and I kept on fighting with them. I was abused. I was said I was being too negative, that I want perfection, but I just kept saying we are not as good as last season or even the previous season. Saliba, Gabriel, the obviously missing Ben White created some sort of, but the amount of chances the other teams were creating and the amount of work that Raya had to do this season was clearly too much. And जब ऐसा होता है, if you keep conceding high XG chances, the other teams are bound to score, and when you are not going forward, you're not going to outscore them. The teams are going to sit back. So if I clearly look at this entire season, there have been problems, कुछ ना कुछ चलता रहता है. So when we go through the season, obviously we had, I would say मेरे हिसाब से 2 red cards which were undeserved. Obviously MLS वाला red card हम लोग नहीं बात करेंगे, that was very shitty, but the 2 red cards which actually dropped Arsenal points, that was First was the Rice ka red card, where the he kicked the ball. That was a very controversial red card. Definitely, as per the new rules, and the teams were briefed that you cannot, stop the other teams from playing the ball quickly. But that was such a the ball was moving. Rice did not know. Rice was walking back forward. Obviously, the referee at that time could have looked at the bigger picture, went to the screen, and definitely decided what he wanted to do. But he did not do it. He just wanted to give the red card. But still, we were 1-0 up against Brighton in that game. Our defense, like I said, has been shaky in the start of the season. It took only 9 minutes for Brighton to score that first goal, and obviously then we Mikel Arteta brought on a defensive sub, and we then obviously also had a chance to score. But again, we are not that good going forward this season. We had Havertz, Saka, everyone available, but we are not that good converting our chances. Then you go forward to the Manchester City game. Manchester City game के अंदर भी very controversial. That's the second controversial red card that I feel should not have been given. Now, what happens in that Manchester City game is that we score the early goal. Calafiori has been a flop for me. एक तो he's very injury prone. He's decent going forward, but while defending, wingers who are very pacey and very technical, they can go past him. He got slayed by Savinho, and Haaland made a good goal. But obviously, we came back in the first half. We showed some intent. That intent that was missing in the first few games, we showed that intent. We came back. We were 2-1 up. Then obviously, Michael Oliver being Michael Oliver, he had to be the star of the show. He gave Trossard a very, very controversial second yellow, even though it was just less than a second uh, when the whistle was blown for a foul. So again, we defended pretty well in that game, but in the end, obviously, when you're conceding so many shots, the one of them has to go in. Matlab, it would have been in the last dying moments they did score. So there was again 2 points dropped for us. Then against PSG, we did have a very good defensive performance, very solid performance, and I actually was impressed by it. But again, Arsenal this season has been so inconsistent going forward, like getting results, that we have not strung a series of 3 or 5 winning games win in the Premier League. If you go ahead and look at it, and the problem will just start from the defense, more or less, from the start of the season. Even the games against lower teams that are now right now fighting relegation, like Leicester and Southampton, look at the games against them. Leicester, we go 2-0 up in the halftime. The second half starts, and Leicester scores 2 goals in 5 minutes. We have a concentration lapse. It's 2-2. Then we have to go into overdrive to score that 2 goals to win. Against Southampton again, we had to go. The game was pretty much boring. We dominated the first half, but we did not score. Then the second half, Southampton scores, and we have to go into overdrive to come back and win that match. So this has been going throughout the season. Obviously, injuries did not help, but Arteta is to blame for what is happening at the club. He People will claim the board and Edu are responsible. Arteta has been screaming कि मेरे को striker चाहिए, मेरे को striker चाहिए. But look at the start of the season. We had 4 attacking options on the bench: Nketiah, Eddie Nketiah. We had ESR, we had Nelson, and we had Fabio Vieira. Now we can argue that ESR and Fabio Vieira are injury prone. You cannot rely on them, but I can say that you can rely on them for a couple of matches. Then you need those squad players for only couple of matches. Odegaard, Saka, these guys are supposed to play majority of your matches. But when those players need a break, when you are 3 or 2 4-0 up, you can take them out early and give them a rest. Or when these players are injured for a couple of matches, or they're having a knock, you can put them in and they can do a decent job for a couple of. You cannot rely them to win the title, but definitely you can rely on them to bring you results when you need them, or just give your star players a break. Every team has those players, but we sold ESR, we sold Nketiah, we loaned out Nelson, we loaned out Vieira. Who do we have as an attacking option? For Odegaard, no one. We have Enveneri, 17-year-old, which Odegaard refused to trust at the start of the season. On the or Sublobore, he had to be eased in. How can you ease in a player when you do not have a backup for your star player? That player has to be ready to go. एंड if Arteta thought कि मैं बाकी के अटैकिंग प्लेयर्स को बेच सकता हूँ and just rely on Enveneri and Odegaard, then Enveneri had to be ready and he had to be thrown into the deep end. Saka ka, there was no one. You brought in Sterling, who is here to just get a paycheck or some game time. He is here for his retirement. Arsenal fans are idiots to believe that he will show his best at Arsenal. जहाँ पे I don't think there is any pressure on him even to perform because he's gonna go back to Chelsea. And I have a fear कि ये idiot board or ये idiot manager might go and buy him. पता नहीं, just because we love the vibes of Sterling, that could happen. Now, if you go, I had always said in December Pool will drop points, and Pool have been dropping points. They have not lost a match, but they've been drawing a lot of matches. But look at what Arsenal has been doing. We have been not able to catch them because we are not doing our own job. So Arteta, when he says that over my dead body, first fix your own goddamn house. उसके बाद तुम बात करना कि भाई मैथमेटिकली पॉसिबल है कि नहीं. Teams like Liverpool and City who have competed in the past, who have gone at 97 points, 92 points, they kept on winning matches. They kept on the tails. अगर होना होगा तो होगा. I do not care if we win the title or not. I just care we need to be close enough. Don't give the title to Liverpool in March, April. The title race has to go down to the last day like it did in the last season. That was what we watched the football for. That's the competitiveness that we want. But this club under Arteta is right now not at all doing that. So I, who was saying we'll catch up to Pool, was very optimistic. I kept saying we will catch up to Pool. I am not at all optimistic. This title is Liverpool's. Arsenal do not have a proper front line. We lack creativity. The drop off form of Odegaard, of Martinelli, of Trossard, of all our attacking options is hampering us to create chances. Look at the last game against West Ham. We did not create. It was boring. I I was at an event and I was watching on my phone. I I was sitting in a corner watching the match and I was yawning, and then I just shut off the match because it was so boring. We are so bad going forward, and at that match I did not think we lacked a striker. I thought we were not even good enough to create that chances. Imagine having Oshiman and you're creating those chances for him. Even he's not gonna score. I am seriously done right now with this title race. I just hope that we can get some form, finish above 80 points, which is very unlikely because we have 12 games to go and we are at 53 points. So we have to win 10 games to get over 80 points. So I don't think have it in me to keep this positivity up right now, but I just hope that we go deep into the Champions League, which is very unlikely again because we do not have a recognized forward and our team is very creatively bad. And the first thing that the board must do is sit down as the season is over and think about, is this team looking at the future under Mikel Arteta is it going to go forward under Arteta, or the squad that you built, which is a good squad, will it do better under someone else? I'm not saying that sack Arteta right now, but in May, the board needs to sit down and just contemplate what is the next step forward. If you trust Arteta, then back him, and then don't let Arteta have an excuse कि मैंने striker मांगा और मेरे को दिया नहीं. Give him everything that he needs, let him do whatever, and then we can judge him properly. But right now there is so much confusion between the fans and everyone that kiski galti hai. Is it the board or is it Mikel Arteta? Personally feel that it is both, but and I cannot and will not accept the fact that Arteta was not privy to the information that they are not going to bring in anyone in the summer. He definitely knew what was going behind the scenes when they sold all those attacking player जो options थे उसके पास, keeping two attacking options uh, in Odegaard and Saka as your first team players who were under tremendous pressure to perform. And you can see because of the pressure, Odegaard and Saka both had their injury issues. So Let's just hope we can get back into some sort of results. The Nottingham Forest match is up next, and I am not expecting much of that game. A draw would be a decent result. A win obviously would be a great result, but a loss is very likely considering that we are not going forward, and Nottingham Forest is a very solid team when it comes to their positioning, their form, and their play style. And I don't think this team has the creativity to break them down, or we do not have that clinical striker. When we do create that one or two chances, will be able to convert those chances? So let's see what happens. I hope we can keep up with Liverpool till end of the season and not hand them the title in the first week of April, because that guard of honor is gonna hurt. I don't know if it's gonna hurt the players or the manager, because clearly they don't seem to be motivated enough, but it's gonna hurt the fans really, really bad. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.